Okay, so something weird happened the other day to the server, and I have no idea what happened. I don't think any of us know what happened, but somehow the Nether and the End got corrupted. So, like, we couldn't even start the server, and we ended up having to ask our host to, like, go in and see what happened, and then he was like, oh, yeah, things are corrupted. And when we were able to get back on the server, like, half of the world was gone. Like, literally, like, Thanos snapped out of existence. And see, this world started in 1.17, for those of you who remember, and when the server updated to 1.18, of course, like, we did some, like, chunk trimming and, like, all this technical stuff to, like, have some chunks generated in with, like, the new world generation, and like, half of the world got regenerated to 1.18 chunks. Fortunately, the host was able to restore, like, just a few days prior, so that was awesome. I think, like, this was happening the 16th, so, like, 2 days ago, and like, we had a backup from the host from the 12th, which was really awesome. It means that we didn't lose that much progress, and we could actually splice in a mix of the, like, un-Thanosed world with the backup. So that was awesome. We didn't lose that much progress, and everything is back to normal now. Unfortunately, something happened, and our, like, inventories like, reverted back to, like, ignore everything in my inventory. Like, it reverted back, so they're currently in Lord Thaddeus's box, but I had to, like, repay these diamond blocks because they were they were back in my inventory, and he got me a whole new box of carrots, and, like, these ones are actually now labeled premium organic carrots, and that's how you know they're legit, when they're labeled. So that's awesome. Like, thank you again, Lord Thaddeus, for getting me a new box of carrots for all of my diamonds. It's not like I was using them anyway, so okay, so thank you again, Lord Thaddeus, for getting me some new carrots, because I was really excited to eat them for the rest of the season once I get rid of these nasty pork chops. But for now, I'm actually going to head back to my base and kind of explain to you what's been going on over there. Guys, I goofed up big time. I just recorded an entire episode without audio. Like, you can hear the game audio, but none of my speaking. And you know what? For some of you, you might be, like, completely relieved to hear that. But unfortunately, I have to speak sometime. So, let me just walk you through some of the things that I completed. Some of this is going to be footage that I filmed before, and I'll just be talking over it, and some of it is just going to be me showing you some of the stuff that I did. Alright. Okay, so here's a pretty quick recap of what I've been doing at my base. So as you can see, I've started to put down some grass, and I've actually started to lay out, like, what I want this sort of dock area to look like. I don't know if I said what I'm doing right here, but I'm putting a dock here. And I've started to blend these towers into the landscape, because I didn't want it to be just like those flat towers. Like, I actually wanted to add some design to it. So yeah, I'm just tossing random blocks together. Well, they're not random blocks. I actually have, like, specific blocks I'm using, but I'm not really placing them with any specific, like, design in mind. I just want it to look blent. So yeah, that's gonna go all the way around the inside. The inside, it's gonna be a bit more sparse, whereas the outside of this wall, I really want it to look like rocks, like rocky, like going all the way down underneath kinds of rocks. I don't think I need to go down that far, but I like how it looks, and I I don't know, I just feel like it blends in a lot better, whereas like if I just had some rocks start here and then go down like a little bit, it wouldn't feel as natural to me. So even if no one ever sees that, it'll feel better for me. Like, I'm having fun doing it, and I think that's what matters. Okay, the sun is literally setting as I'm talking, so I probably should be quick. I'm going to head over to the mansion now, and as of saying this, it's actually fully complete, but I did a little room tutorial while I was building the final room, which is the brewery, and I'm going to try and describe some of my thought process that went into building it, and following that, I'm going to be giving you guys a full montage with shaders of the completed mansion interior. So I hope you look forward to that, and I will see you after all of that is done. Alright, so for this room I started by laying out the skeleton because the most important part of building any interior is knowing how much space you're gonna have, because that will ultimately determine what you can put in. This wall that I started with, I ended up putting in a nether wart farm. So that uses soul sand and nether wart. I really wanted this room to have both aesthetic and function, and nether wart is, of course, a very big part of brewing. And then, once I had those in, I filled in the rest of the wall with nether bricks and nether brick walls, because I wanted all of the rooms to be 2 thick walls. So there's like the main hallway walls that you can see, and then inside every room has its own set of wall designs. And of course, if you're going to be making walls too thick, you have to plan for that in your initial design, like of the whole build. Because if you want the exterior to be separate from the interior, you have to make it a little bit bigger. And then for the main part of the room, I ended up adding this dark oak trim. And if you notice here, if I fill up this entire wall with dark oak, you're not actually going to see the nether brick that I put on the inside, because the dark oak is just going to completely cover it. So instead, I took out 1 block on either side of this pillar and filled it in with more nether brick. This kind of detail can really change the whole vibe of the room, because you end up accentuating the space between the usable wall and the corners. Once all the walls were filled in, I started thinking about how I was going to decorate, and I started with the front of the nether wart farm because I knew that I wanted to cover it up. I spent a lot of time deciding whether or not to use spruce trapdoors or dark oak trapdoors. I mean, seriously, like 5 minutes. Obviously, dark oak fits the room better, but I ended up going with spruce trapdoors because of the vertical slats. The vertical lines draw your lines up towards the nether wart and then ultimately the rest of the room. And the problem with the dark oak trapdoors is that the square pattern draws your eyes into the design, and that becomes something that you might fixate on visually. I did end up using dark oak trapdoors as part of a counter because it doesn't draw your eyes the same way as if it were on a flat wall, and it works with the dark theme. As I mentioned, I want this room to be functional as well as decorated, even though no one is actually living in the mansion. So this means adding places to store materials as well as adding decorative items that fit what the room is for. So I added some gold blocks and some melons on top of one of the shelves because those are brewing components. Redstone and glowstone are also components, so I put blocks of those down as well. And of course, I added brewing stands because those are what makes this room actually usable instead of just decorative storage. Okay, but yeah, I did end up adding a lot of barrels to fill up the wall space, and I added item frames to indicate what should be inside of them. And one little decoration that I really enjoyed is adding 2 cauldrons to make a double sink with an iron bar to look like a faucet. Small things like that just require a little bit of imagination, and I think are really fun. And honestly, most of building interiors is just trial and error to figure out what's best for the build. Like, you can make it as realistic or as weird as you want as long as you're having fun. Though you'll have to wait and see what the completed room looks like after the time lapse. Alright guys, I hope you enjoyed that montage, and I have my audio working now, so I can actually have a real outro instead of just using another voiceover. So anyway, I had a lot of fun building these interiors, and Total, thank you so much for asking me to help out with this project. Like, this has been so fun, like, genuinely, and I hope that showing you guys some of my process in building the brewery gives you some insight as to how I build interiors. It's a lot of trial and error, and you just have to find something that works for whatever vibe you're trying to give off. And speaking of vibes, I really do have to go get working on my base, because the 1.19 pre-release just dropped today. So, you know, I have a lot that I have to go finish up. A lot of work to do, so without further ado, if you enjoyed this video, please give it a like. If you want to see more content like this, please consider subscribing. Have a great week, guys, and I will see you in the next episode. See ya.